just a little bit our office. So Mutabilis Paysage and urbanism, landscape and urbanism. We're 13 people and we're a young office because we're existing since 2003. So our kind of leitmotiv is Mutabilis, which means to change what has to be changed and not more, in fact. We're looking for the good and the right project and not to overvalue it. We want to be just in our answer. So how to begin with this huge topic, like quality of life, quality of living? It's difficult. I decided to mix it, to cross it with the water topic, which is one of our main preoccupations in our work, is how to manage with water. We can see it like a technical problem, we can see it like a goal or purpose, a tool. So just as a topography and context, we think that water is a driving force, driving power to do landscape design, and further, it can participate to improve our surroundings. So everything is question of understanding the power of water, understanding our total dependence to the water, understanding its preciosity and its gradual rarity. At last, understanding the plus it can bring us to our everyday life. So I took example from my office also, sorry. We wanted to show you how we can inhabit some difficult sites because of water, how we restored and import values thanks to water, and how last water has been a source of inspiration and dream in some projects. This first picture, I like it because it's almost an artifact. It's here in the middle of nowhere in Martinique Island. I think it's a hunting house, but what is interesting is that all we need is the roof and water to rest and to live. So this water you see is collecting from the roof to this big, how do you call it, drum, which is supposed to contain petrol in it. And the funny thing is that they put, a tap from this drum, so everything is simple. I mean, water is like petrol now. It is so precious. Anyway, the most important is that people realize that they have a role to play in that preservation. So I'll speak about four or five projects, I'll see. The first one is Nanterre, it's near Paris, you'll see. It's a big park where water has been a purpose, and we used the water as much as we could. The second one is L'Île Saint-Denis, near Paris still. The question was how to inhabit a floating site, and the way it brought a special way to design to make project and brought identity to the project. The third one is La Teste, near Bordeaux. I guess you know the wine from France. So La Teste is les prés salés, means salted meadows. It's a wasted site, an abandoned site that we restored and we gave back to the visitor and to the people, thanks to the war. We used it as a tool. And the fourth one is Lille, le Jardin des Géants, the giant garden, where water has been really a source of inspiration. So the first one is our first big project. We had the honor to work with Guillaume de Chaume, who died at the end of the studies, in fact. So we went on with this project. Le Parc de Chemin de Lise is so near Paris, as I said. located in the west of Paris region. This park is near to La Seine. It's a part of what we call the green and blue frame of the Paris region. It's also classified as a natural and sensible site in the department scale. So you can see the site. It's in the continuity of the historic axe. You can see. Oh, sorry. You can see over there La Tour Eiffel, l'Arche de la Défense, with this big business space and city. And in the continuity, the space between is a new public and a new big project for the area. And the Parliament deed was the first step to reconquest this site. So here is the urban situation between Nanterre, Nanterre here, La Défense here, Carrières-sur-Seine here, and the park is just in front of the Seine, so with this island called L'Île Fleurie, means the flower island, which is a faunistic reserve. From the beginning, we decided to reveal the industrial spirit of this site because in a way we couldn't fight against. So just having a look, you can see the big structure of transport. You have here the highway, here the RER trainway. You have also here the industry of paper, here a big jail. So everything was perfect. I mean, it was simple to have a park there, and we were in the middle of nowhere. But fortunately, we had also this small park is Nanterre, a small suburb of Nanterre, with his typical houses from there. Okay. Here's the master plan. This project won because we won this project because of its clear goal, which was to reveal, to restore, and to amplify the rapport, between La Seine and its urban context. So the main system is the water system. We played with it. As several means. Participate to improve the inundation condition, flooding in condition, to restore the quality of water coming from La Seine for different spaces, different ambience of the park. Explain and show how to restore water with plants, how we can filter it by plants, with plants. Explain and show how to create havens around this resource. So let me explain you the system. We are pumping from here water in La Seine, pumping with those 5, how to call it, warm gears, des vis d'Archimède, I don't know if you know this term. And then water is going down on water gardens, with everything is with gravity after that. So it's filtered here, and then you begin to have like pleasure gardens where the clearer the water is, the more accessible to the visitor it is. So this garden is, those water gardens are useful, pleasant and educative. And third, we have this tree where the water is going back to La Seine, and through wide meadows and natural treatment. So this is the last point. The water is going back to La Seine. This last part, I will explain it to you after. It's how we took again this resource to use it in front of galleries. Many events are animating the park. For example, the house restaurant here, where you have an info point, exhibitions, small bar. You have also many playgrounds all around this axe, on those parts also. You have a paddock and a house for house yard, a big technical site. And as I said, family gardens at the end of the park. So first I explain the architectural part here, and then along the sand, more natural treatment. Here is the urban front with the small houses I was talking about here. We designed the project as like a real architecture and with its own writings. I mean, water gardens, fences, benches. We designed everything. Here's the water gardens with the walls, special walls in concrete and special treatment. Fences with the playground just behind, as you can see. And here you have the structure of the water garden with the line of wall gears pumping, so the sun is on the back, pumping water here, and the water is going, it's during the works, as you can see. And the water is going like this, and with gravity through the water gardens. The first and the last long gear. And here is nowadays water gardens. As you can see, the park is useful, but became a real source of promenade and a pleasure park. The context at the beginning, which seems to be really hard, became much more natural and pleasant at the end, in continuity with the flora and island. And this came because became at last a place where you make the choice to go. People are rediscovering fauna and flora, and we also have something special because the maintenance needs to move and to cut down the big tanks filled with water. So it's changing the water garden's proportion completely. In this case, water was the driving force of the project and also a tool to educate and inform people about the surrounding. You can see on this picture the view indicator plants, which means that water is of good quality now. So here is the Jardin des Prés. I didn't know how to translate it, I'm sorry. The water is clear at this moment. We work on different ambience, sometimes really open, sometimes more intimate. And you can touch the water at that moment when it's clear. Here it is, a new site to come and have fun and pleasure. So the more natural part is constituted by big and wide meadows, and as I said, we propose a soft maintenance, soft management with keeping low when it's necessary. So the more natural part is along the Seine. You begin from Le Parvis, which is the last architectural point of the park before going along the towing path. The towing path is the open space of the park. Is a complete continuity with the rest of the Seine. It's between La Seine and what we call the stream. And the park is finishing, as I said, around there. give it a jump. Open on the wide meters. I talked about the park meeting place and cafe info point. Here it is. We created the last event with the water. Here it's like kind of green wall with water going through it. And then the beginning of the stream here, which is really, really natural. Creating this park, we wanted to double, in fact, the promenade along the water, just as if the Seine was going inside of the park. This park has also a role to play when the Seine is floating. So it seems to be weak and small, and when the Seine is floating, it's so huge that you think maybe it's a waste to think that we can accept water and participate to manage floating moments, floating events. But we think that every small pieces of projects along the Seine has to participate to the whole, in fact, and to this event. Here's the stream. We worked with an artist, as you can see, those pieces are just like big, huge animal coming from the earth that we rediscovered. So all this part can be covered by water. Here we are on the towing path. The industry you see behind it, the industry paper. And the last garden is the Touadon. It's a kind of it's a special grass growing in water. The final point when the water going back to the Seine. We design also. We use water as a fence also. So just behind you have the towing path. Outside of the park, in fact, and here we are inside of the park, and we design bridges like this to keep water as a fence. Here is the last point, so water is going by this point to La Seine, just behind. As you can see, we design everything like industrial, big things. These walls are typical from works entertainment. The riverbank has been treated really simply, and our objective was to develop biodiversity and to make something for fauna also. So family gardens are working, as I said, with the water also from the stream. We are planting, thanks to the windmill, it's a small one, not like in Till in Latz Park. So it's an agricultural one, and it's pumping water from here, putting in the big reservoir, and then the water is going by gravity in every garden. Here is the small here's the reservoir, which is a central place in the family garden site. It's during works. So you can see the small canal and the tank for every garden. The gardens now it works. So with this project, we are happy with this project because we succeed in showing and create events with water everywhere in the park. It became a real pleasure park, and people seem to like to go in it. We succeed also in going near La Seine, but as Chirac wanted at the moment, that's too bad, but we can swim in the Seine for the moment. But maybe thanks to the park one day we'll. I wanted to show you some pictures about the earthwork, in fact, because when we started this project, we thought we were in what we called Poubellien supérieur, means a kind of garbage soil, as you can see. And fortunately, finally, we exploited everything we could. So we selected and crushed the concrete, and we made all the structure pedestrian ways with this concrete crushed. We found a big, on the soil, big site of sand and clay, so it was a good surprise for us. All the concrete was also given to some project in the area, so we won money with this project. The vegetation was found to protect the new plantations. So it was a miracle for us to find sand and clay because we use it for the stream. Here it is. You can see, in fact, under this you have the clay, and on it we put the sand to protect the l'étanchéité. So the second project is more polluted. It's in Saint-Denis, near Paris also. It's a special city because it's just the small island you can see here in color. It's in the west of Paris, and it's characterized by this thin territory. It's around 100 meters large, all along the island. And so you can almost see from the middle the small, here is the small arm of the Seine and the big arm of the Seine. The other atypical thing is that the island is just like a striped sock and suffer from a lack of mixity. Here's the site. It's a perfect representation of monospecificity. It's full of buildings or full of stock material or parking and so on. The building took all the place, as you can see here, and it's like a boat, you know. And the banks of the river was completely wasted. So the concept, the object, in fact, of the competition was to create a living neighborhood with activity and houses. First of all, for us, the most important was to find again the island, to restore biodiversity, and to give a frame to this stripe. From the idea of the island, we designed islands in it for many reasons, because we created a new topography to approach the water and to develop a build-up on the small arm here. So you can see that it's a chance for the water to go in the island. You can see those islands I was talking about where we can live. And also we worked on the capacity of houses and buildings in those small islands. The system works on two ways. It means the water can come in when it's like floating time. It's coming in what we call les micro-vallons, means the micro-valley, small valley. And also, in everyday time, those micro-vallons are useful to filter and to take all the water of the project back to La Seine after being filtered. The master plan is simple, and as you can see, we composed things with a dissymmetry. Here is the small arm I was talking about, where you have only pedestrian path and very natural sites, and we kept this road, which is the main road of the island, and guarantee continuity of the island. It's a more urban phase. In section, as I said, we can, from this point, thanks to Les Micro-Vallons, see the small arm and the big arm. This project was won some years ago, but we don't know if we will continue with it. I hope so, because I think we'll have a chance to have a nice project for people there. The towing path on the small arm. This towing path is also a place to rest, to go and fish in the Petit Bras de la Seine, to have playgrounds. This is the open spaces with wide meadows and filtering gardens. This section is interesting because it shows the upper flooding level. Here it's 1910, and we take this level to fix our towing path. Here's an image of the Micro-Vallons. It can be open and with a lawn to playgrounds like this, or it can be also a piece of nature. On this image, you can see the filtering gardens here, really in towns. And if you go there, you go near the Seine, and the water is going through the Ronan. And here is the urban quay I was talking about. We kept these big trees, which are existing today, and we worked on the urban quay and urban front with big buildings. Okay, the chrysalid, the salted meadows. It's so near Bordeaux, as I said. You see here, it's between Arcachon. Bordeaux is on the south of this, Arcachon here, and La Teste here. Les Chrysalid, it's like 60 hectares. When we arrived on that site, it was like this, just abandoned. The Chrysalid was at the origin a place where the water, salted water, was coming in and out and making what we call les champs, a special middle for fauna and plants. And because of the watergate system out of order, this site was just waste. We had the chance to have also canal taking all the water from the urban space, going back to Les Chrysalid in this kind of in this completely awful water. But we have chance to discover also a nice point of fauna and flora existing in the site. Like here, or here is the toit this kind of special grass I was talking about, grown in water. And here is the shore. So we wanted to find again this kind of milieu. And we have this also in a reference Here it's a pedestrian path, typical path in the shore. It's made with a big pack of mussels, in fact, and people then can cross and go through the landscape thanks to this. So those two references guide us, and we decided to work really simply in that territory. We wanted just to make people cross it and have view on the sea. The existing is like this, so we wanted from the main road to have views on the sea. This is the part we wanted to give back to shores, and this one is more a place to discover fauna and flora specific from the site. The master plan during the competition, and nowadays it's like this on Google. The competition views, so really the idea was to find again the water and the sea. During the earthwork, I was saying that we used water as a tool. It's true because to take vegetation out and to open this space, we worked with the salt of the water and we used it to clean the site. So we took out the water gate, which was out of order, and we let the sea come in and just make the work for us. And from this horrible canal with water coming from urban spaces, we work on water garden like lagoon with the earthwork on the lagoon. We worked on small events in this park just to show some special spaces with a special fauna and flora. Here a small building to see a special point with ducks and birds moving. So as you can see, the work was simple in fact, but we had to choose the right way to pass and the more, how do you say, more efficient way to pass. So we worked on wood, with some digs, and sometimes with nothing, or with those packs of mussels, like this. This last view is show the old water gate, the one which was completely over, and we are here on the new one. So now we can manage this site, let the water sea come in and out just as we want, and respect the restored place. The last project is the Jardin des Géants. It's completely different. It's not natural, you'll see. We made it for Lille Métropole Communauté Urbaine. It's like a district with 86 cities in it. We found through water a nice way to tell a story and to invent something, because you see the site at the beginning is like this. I mean, just a big place where there were cars parked and nothing else. So we're in Lille, near Lille, here, and La Madeleine, which are two of those district cities. And the Jardin des Géants is in the middle, just here. here the site when we visit for the competition. Terrible. It was so terrible that we had to invent a story. So we were supposed to make an jardin d'émotion et d'exception, which means an emotional gardens and exceptional gardens. It was the objective of the project. How to make it exceptional with this. So we decided to keep the only thing we can, means the trees, like this one, those one. And we invent the story of, we took the North tradition with the giants. So this tradition is that every city of the north of France has a giant to protect them. So we said that the giant wanted to come back in this site and to find what was the site at the origin, means before everything it was swamp. No, so to find water back in the landscape and in the park, in the design project. So here is the master plan from the competition. You have 3 parts. The first is what we decided to keep open to the town because it's a pedestrian path. This one is enclosed and is the heart of the project. The enclosed part has 2 parts. In fact, you have this one called l'herbe de géant, which is full of plants that make you forget that you have a highway just behind. And the second part is where water is refound with ponds and water gardens. So first part, pedestrian and keeping the pedestrian I'm sorry for the English. Second part, l'herbe de géant, and the third one, le jardin des ours. Water is going like this, is working like this in the project. We're pumping water from here in the ground. With first water garden, we're filtering it, and then it's going like this in pounds. And the last point is that we take it at the upper point, and then it's going by gravity. So when we finished to pump and to have all this in work, it's completely autonomous. Those giants, we call them the habitats in the gardens. We thought to Italian reference, like Beaumarceau, like Villa d'Este, and the last one, the small one here, I think it's in Iceland. And we invent everything, saying, okay, buildings are giants also. There have to be, all the small buildings and edifices in the park has to be high and reconnaissable. We had also willow heads, like a giant coming out from the space and the ground. Here is the work we have with the artist who how do you say, who dressed the willow, who made things with willow. You will see, here it is. Again. And from the parking, the giant went out. We had also big work with another artist, working with steel, kind of steel. We called it animal fountains, les têtes cracheuses, in fact. There it is, doing the work. Everything is huge. We wanted to, I mean, giants are huge, so it has to, it's a special scale for the garden. The garden is small, it's less than 3 hectares. And everything is huge in it during the work. The giants in the North traditions are human person, or animals, or even plants. And we thought also that the giant to find the water has to be water diviner, with divining rods, les bâtons de sorcier, and it helped us to bring the identity of the site, and the fancies were designed with this baguette de sorcier. Here's the pedestrian path. It's the first open place of the garden. It's just in front of Euralie. It's a nice place. You have a big view on the Euralie. You can see just over there the highway, and now everybody forgot the highway. I mean, before it was so noisy, terrible, and now it's pleasant and seems to be calm place. L'herbe des géants, everything is in bamboo. The full plant was necessary to cut with the highway. You have these are the small lines of water going back to the ponds with gravity. It's just like a delta, the pedestrian path, and also the small lines of water. Just like water with a delta. Here it's l'esplanade, it's the most important place, open place in the site, with the restaurant. And then you have the Jardin des Sources, it's a source garden, with the competition view, another giant. This garden is full of surprises. And as you can see, many people come and see and want to be there. Mm-hmm. Here is the first water garden. Those plants are filtering the water, and then it goes back on the whole system. I like to show those pictures because we are happy to keep the idea from the beginning to the end. I mean, from the competition to the end, to the life of the project. Events, giants coming from nowhere, and even on the outside, people are finding, and young people are finding things to do with the three stairs.